Everybody, Elizabeth Nader back with you, the Nader Narrative and Jersey First TV. We're going to have a fun show tonight talking with two new Assembly people, Assemblyman Christian Barranco, Assemblywoman Beth Sawyer. You guys are going to tell us all the secrets of what it's like to be in office, but congratulations to both of you and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for having us both.
You both are great. We celebrated your wins. You both are a great example of what our founders intended, which is, citizens becoming legislators. And you both have your own stories and you have your own work that you did before becoming Assembly people. And if you guys are okay with it, I'm going to call you Christian and Beth, because if I'm going to trip over Assemblywoman, Assemblyman, but with all due respect to both of you, because you earned your positions, but you're both humble people and we appreciate you. So I wanted people to get to know you first, and then we're going to talk about some really interesting insights and what it's been like for you to go from a citizen, of course you still are, but to a legislator in Trenton and all the things that we don't know that go on. But first, let's talk about your background. Both of you recently elected, as I said, in November of last year. Beth, District 3, and of course, Christian District 26. Now, Beth, your background, you are in real estate, right? But you have something in common with Chris, which is you both have a political science degree. Do I have that right?
My degree's not done.
It's not done. Well, okay, I'm giving it to you too soon. But Beth, don't you have one? Is my research correct?
So it's same. I never graduated from Penn State. I've seen a lot of articles that said I have, but no, I majored in political science. And then that summer I went back for a class. I was supposed to go back again, ended up getting married and having 2 children. So that is on my to-do list when I get some free time, is to finish that degree.
Likewise.
But both of you started it. And I think that's interesting that you sort of both were led to that light, right? And then clearly there's something in you that wants to do public service and learn more about it. But Beth, let's start with you and, your background and what finally sort of flipped that switch that made you say, I'm running.
So it is, a large part of it is that I did major in political science at Penn State, and I was in my senior year when I left. And also, too, one of the reasons why I left is my brother was a Marine at the time, and we had Desert Storm going on. Desert Storm, Gulf War. I can't remember which one was first, I should know that.
Same thing.
So what happened was, I watched my mom really go through a hard time. Back then we didn't have cell phones. There was no communication. There was nothing like Facebook. So to watch her go through that was one of the big factors of why I went home and ended up getting married. And here I am today. But small business owner. I've been in real estate for 27 years and opened up my own brokerage firm in 2019. So had my grand opening in December 2019 and got shut down in March of 2020. I actually ran for Assembly in 2019, and it was a race that I was very nervous about being in, because I know what the Democratic machine can do when you try to take them on. So that was a big concern of mine. I did not do a lot of heavy campaigning because I was really afraid of the ramifications. But won Salem County, did really well. And in 2021, I happened to be a write-in. My chairwoman had came to me and asked me, would I be on the ballot as a write-in? And I looked at her and I kind of laughed. I said, Jackie, I have my business now. She's like, look, I need your name recognition. Everybody knows you from real estate. So I agreed to do that. And I was overwhelmed by the response that I got as a write-in.
Yeah.
So when I got that nomination, I felt a moral obligation, seeing what was going on in our country, in the world, and in our state. I said, you know what? This is my time. And once I committed, I went in 150%. I knew I had to win the race. And then, of course, my biggest fear was they would attack me. And they did. Right from the second I committed, they launched a disgusting campaign against me. But I thank Steve Sweeney every time I see him for making me a household name and helping me win the election. I truly believe by him spending all that money trashing me, people know who Beth Sawyer is. So
they do.
Thank you you're watching, I really appreciate you spending $1.8 million getting my name out there.
Wow, Beth, you are an expensive candidate. That's
Yes.
amazing. It's interesting the mindset between your first run and your second run when you finally leaned into it and really allowed that to happen, which really makes you viable for the future because you've been through it. You've been through the vetting. You know what it's like. I am sure you can give great advice to other candidates about all of that. Chris, let's go to you for a second. Your background,
Beth,
very.
what town do you live in?
I live in Woolwich Township, New Jersey,
Okay.
right by the Commodore Barry Bridge.
Right. District 3. Okay, so Christian, District 26. Now, your background, again, another inspiring story because it's sometimes I think people have this idea that first of all, you have to be a lawyer. Nothing against lawyers, but a lot of lawyers, for whatever reason, become politicians, and that's a whole nother show. But you have to be something else. You can't just be like one of us, just a person working their job and providing for their family and building their business or whatever. So tell us about your background and what was it for you that made you say, that's it, I'm putting my hat in the ring.
Okay, so I'm an electrician by trade. I'm a union electrician. Today, I'm a project manager and a business development guy. But in 2008, when we had our enormous credit crunch and things were so difficult for so many people, 2008, 2009, when we had our big financial downturn, I was out of work for 13 months, 14 months. And I had a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 3-year-old mortgage. To this day, I still don't know how we pieced together, our debt, and we got through that. But it was a very, very difficult time. There was a lot of despair, a lot of very difficult times with my wife and my new baby girls and my house. And I swore to myself that I would never sit back and just take the government that I was given anymore. Because the credit crunch of 2008, 2009 was created by government. So I started the process of trying to find out what I was politically, because up until that point, I had never run for any public office. I had rarely voted. I sort of went through the process of finding my political center, then learning what it takes and how people get elected in this state. And to be very honest with you, some incredibly eye-opening episodes with party leaders and just the way the parties are run. A lot of things that if the common everyday voter had the ability to see would be a little
disconcerting.
Devastating.
Yeah.
It's very when you get involved with politics, it's very easy to sort of lose sight of the purpose of public office.
Sure.
And that's why there's so many people in Trenton and Washington, and that, this is really a career. It's a pathway to wealth, which I do not believe. No. This is a public service. This is a service that we do. And when we're done and we've stopped being helpful, we get out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an old way of looking at public office, but it's a way that I cherish dearly, and I will always hold it dear to my heart, and that's the reason I'm here.
Well, another good story, right? And Beth talks about being attacked and really what she went through. What I know of your run, it was a lot of politics to getting through the primary. And so maybe not so much what happened with the Dems, but what happened within the party. So these are all different experiences, hard fought. I know that you worked very, very hard. And I know you did as well, Beth. This is something that takes knocking on doors, and it takes a commitment and a sacrifice that I don't think people often realize. So Beth, let's go to you here for a second. So you win, which is so exciting. And your district was interesting because we had Ed Durr and all of the national attention literally the next day over his win and all that happened there. So you're preparing to get into office. I want to know what it was like between the election and when you were actually sworn in. Did you start to sort of see things that you were shocked about, or what was the most interesting moment for you as you began to prepare your office?
What was great for me, again, it was a win for all of us. So it was the first time for a lot of people, not just from the state level, all the way down to municipalities.
Yeah.
So I want to say there was a lot of freshmen involved, but I was really grateful when I found out about ARO, the Assembly Republican Office, and they have really wrapped their arms around me and have guided me in learning the process of how legislation works. I mean, yes, political science, you're learning about government, but there was a little time ago that I was in office, but giving me an upfront and personal education on the process. They have been such a great mentors, a lot of them there. And just getting their wisdom, and then again making my own choices. One of the things before I got sworn in, of course, we had COVID alive and well, and the fear of, we weren't going to get sworn in person. I actually got COVID right during the holidays, so thank you God for giving it to me before January 11th instead of waiting till January 11th. It was very disappointing about the political game that was being played just with our tickets, getting people to Trenton to see us getting sworn in.
Right.
It was the punishment of the past session. I know there were some legislators that kind of held a session late into the night, and I feel like that was taken out on us on the day that we were getting sworn in. And look, it's like the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, right? It was the first time. I actually cried when they won because it was the anticipation of it finally happening.
Yeah.
Same thing with being
I cried too.
Yeah, right.
For different reasons.
You weren't crying the way I was crying, though. It was just such a monumental moment in my life. And for my kids, I mean, going to a smear campaign, your family gets dragged through the mud too, emotionally, right? So it was that defining moment of you don't give up and hard work pays off. And to take out Steve Sweeney, the Senate president, but also taking out Bertuccelli, he's the appropriations chairman. That's a pretty big deal.
Big deal.
And me winning all three counties and knowing that I got the most votes, it was great. It showed me that I didn't give up. I went out and knocked on doors. I knocked on as many as I possibly could because I wanted people to see my face. They kept photoshopping me. So when you saw the pictures that were going out, it didn't look like me. This is said they weren't so attractive. So it was being able to make that connection with the constituents and saying, hey, I'm a real person. I'm just like you. I'm a small business owner. Coming again, being in COVID, watching 1 out of 3 businesses go out of business forever. Sweeney made a very big mistake by standing back during the pandemic and keeping his mouth shut. Bertuccelli, Talaferro, they didn't do anything to help the constituents. And then, Christian, you can help me with this. Seeing the legislation that these people passed during the pandemic is disturbing. Disturbing with the sex ed education bill, with the marijuana bill, no age limit for kids to go buy marijuana, all this ridiculous stuff that just got passed. I feel like they shoved it down the constituents' throats on their way out the door. And I hope that the voters remember this on election day. Remember what the prior administration did, even with the paper or the plastic bags. That's another one.
Yeah. And you're right. I think that as a voter, we felt as though government was not functioning correctly, and a lot of things got shoved down our throats, and it was just the way it was going to be. And so, I mean, look, that day, January 11th, that's a big deal. I was over on the Senate side that day. You guys were in a different building, I believe. Chris, I know that the build up to that's a big deal, and it's a moment in time that a lot of people will never experience. And it had to feel amazing, even with all the 6 feet and all the baloney that was going on in that chamber. So you're on that high, Chris, you've won, you've got a lot of expectations. You get in to start serving. And I'm sure you feel like Beth, did, that you got a lot of help to be ready for it. You get in to start serving. Let's go to your biggest disappointment first. Like, what's the thing that just sort of shocked you once you became an assemblyman?
Well, there's multiple. First and foremost, the absolute non-communication between our caucus and their caucus. The complete opposite place between our caucus and their caucus. There is no dialogue. And I'd like to sort of build off of what Beth said about the legislation that they bring forth. And one of the things that really I kind of noticed after like the second or third voting session, Beth, they legislate to the media news stream. They don't legislate because they're talking to their people.
Wow.
They legislate based on polling. They legislate based on what the media is saying, which I think is a terrible disservice to the people that put us here. Terrible. I mean, in terms of my initial introduction into the assembly, I will say I had it better than Beth because I had a terrific running mate with enormous experience in Jay Weber, who really did a wonderful job of sharing with me where I needed to be, what time, you know. Somebody who said to me, Chris, you're an assemblyman, okay, you're being summoned to Trenton. I would have been driving around Trenton for hours trying to figure out, or walking around the State House aimlessly because,
Right.
First of all, it's enormous.
Yeah.
And secondly, it's kind of labyrinth. It's kind of
It is. Yes.
You know what I mean? So I did have a little bit of a helping hand with Jay, Beth. I'm sorry that you guys were brand new and you had to sort of figure stuff out on your own. You're doing real well, by the way. But that's the big thing, man. The big thing is legislate to your constituents. Don't legislate to MSNBC and Fox News.
I love that. I love that quote, legislate to your constituents. Now, Chris, that's a disappointing thing to see. Beth,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you agree with that. And do you feel, Beth, like that's something that as freshmen you can begin to change, or does it just seem like it's so sort of tied into the culture in Trenton?
Well, absolutely. Look, I'm a key example of what people think wasn't going to happen happened. Nobody thought we were going to take out Steve Sweeney, the Senate president.
Right.
He didn't think we were going to take him out.
That's right.
And I think that, by legislating to the media is their biggest mistake, because people are tired of the I'll call it the fake news, because that's what it is. And if it doesn't fit their narrative, they won't put out the truth. And especially with what's going on in the world. I mean, you're looking at gas prices at an all-time high while the president's shipping out oil to another country and we're in desperate need. I mean, people are truly suffering, and they have made it so blatant. I mean, listen, keeping Biden in office is going to help us all get reelected, because the guy just keeps getting worse and worse every single day. You can't make this stuff up.
Right.
I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't think it would be this bad this fast. So when you take all those into consideration of, what was going on in the economics of the world, people are going to go to the polls this year. This election, you're going to see a big game changer. I'm in Gloucester County, and I'm telling you, we are going to take control of that county. I feel it just by talking to the constituents. This will be the one final thing that will truly get rid of the Democratic machine run by Steve Sweeney and all of his people, where it's time for that era to end, right? He forgot where he came from. He started to abuse his power. You look at the money that has been wasted, that is on the backs of the taxpayers in Gloucester County. I mean, you can see what just happened for me on the legislative floor, right? I put in a budget resolution to get $30 million down to Salem County to upgrade their 911 system. I look and go, why didn't the former administration put this budget resolution in since 9/11? They knew that it is a defunct system. It's a public safety issue. Bertucelli, Talaferro, Sweet, not one of them ever put in a budget resolution to help their constituents. It's the second poorest county in the state of New Jersey. So now these commissioners are going to have to go out and they're going to have to bond to get this $30 million. So now you're going to double tax the second poorest county in the state of New Jersey. That to me is unacceptable. These people have been paying into the 911 fund on an annual basis. When you're diverting $124 million, you're stealing that money. I'm sorry. It's not, you took it, you diverted it. To me, that's theft, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw Sweeney put out a post on Twitter or somewhere, somebody had sent it to me. He's now bragging that $5 million got sent to Gloucester County through the state budget, for the firefighters, they've been in desperate need of a burn house for a very long time. They've been begging Steve Sweeney for this money for over 7 years. Yeah. Now Steve Sweeney is touting that because of his relationship with the Senate president is what got the money here. So I want people to understand when they're watching this. So let's get this straight, former Senate president. You had to get unelected.
Yeah.
Try to help your people. Like, you were the Senate president. What better position could you possibly be in? Now you want to say because you have a relationship with the new Senate president, that was the only way the money could get to Gloucester County. I mean, when you say those words out loud, you look and go, Steve, you're ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And you said something key there, which is help your people. I think this is what's missing, right? There's this idea that when we elect you guys, you're going to help us, right? You're representing us. As Chris says, they're not really looking at the issues that affect the daily individual in the county and the district. And for him to claim that win, I mean, he's finally learning the lesson that you leave people unattended long enough, they will eventually see and hold you accountable. Chris, let me go to you for a second regarding helping your people, helping your district. You know, Beth brings up a good point. Each county is different. Some counties are wealthier than others. The needs of those counties are different. If it can't be handled at the commissioner level, it needs to be handled in Trenton. They need to work together. Are you feeling like you really are empowered to help the people in your district? And what would you focus on? What have you been focusing on to help them?
Well, I mean, we have different. Listen, first of all, what Beth just said. I mean, she made the request of the amendment to the budget for the fact that Salem is an impoverished county, and the majority just shot it right down like that. I mean, it's not even a debate. It's not even a question. It's gone before she was even done saying it. So I will say, you know, Morris County, as you know, Elizabeth, you know, we do very well in Morris County. What Morris County needs is it needs Trenton to get out of their house. It needs Trenton to get out of their lives.
Yeah.
We don't need any more money.
Yeah.
We have money.
Right.
And I say that with respect to those that don't. Right? Because I come from an impoverished childhood. So I know what it means to be poor. And I also know the blessing that I live today after having done all the work that I've done and put my time in and pulled myself out of poverty. So what Morris County needs is for Trenton to get out of their lives. How am I empowered? Unfortunately, to get in front of government, you have to gain control of government.
Yeah.
The only way to get in front of government without having political control of government is to start a revolution, and I'm not in that business.
Right.
However, we are the party that is stuffing the chamber with women members, not the Democrats.
Yeah.
We are the party of common sense now,
right?
As opposed, you know, we are the party of the people that go to work in the morning.
Yeah.
And we're working very hard with Minority Leader DeMayo and other people in the chamber and in the parties and in the counties to create ourselves our own little majority. So I know that next year we're going to gain seats yet again.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about
whether or not we can gain the seats necessary for the majority.
Right.
I don't know, but I think we can put ourselves, Beth, in a position to start negotiating with these suckers.
Yeah, I want to talk about 23 because for a few reasons. First of all, I do think that we're going to see gains. You know, maybe the Senate's going to become closer, and then that's important because they're on a 4-year cycle then, so we have to live with that for 4 years. But you know, I do think we're going to see gains. Now, redistricting has impacted you guys. There's that whole conversation that could be a whole another show. But Chris, you said something interesting to me once about, you know, the first time someone is elected and that whole process and experience, and then it's really that second election.
Yeah, when you're first elected, most people in the chamber or people that have been involved in politics for a long time, they don't take you seriously until you win the second time. Because the first time could be the fluke. So right now you're just a freshman, so just shut up.
Yeah.
Right? That's how we're treated. You're a kid. Just shut up, kid. Do what you're told. Now when you win the second time, it's like, okay, now we can't get rid of you.
Yeah. Right.
Now we have to talk.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a fluke. I'm here again.
And I'm staying, yes, for another, I mean, it's 2 years, but now when you're taken more seriously, it starts to change. So 23 is really important for the state, for the party, and for both of you. So Beth, as you're looking ahead to that, it's going to be here in a blink of an eye as life goes, right? What will you be saying to your constituents? What will be your message to them? If you had to do that today, how are you running that campaign?
Let me help you, Beth. I've already started at 23.
Well, my thing is I can look at my constituents and say promises made, and promises kept.
Yeah.
Everything I said I was going to do, 911 was one of my biggest platforms when I was running, because I've been hearing about the 911 system in Salem County for as long as I can remember. I live in Gloucester County. And I got to tell you, you come see Gloucester County's 911 system, and then you go down to Salem, there is too much of a disconnect there, right? And nobody should have to live in the fear of something becoming life versus death. So I think that the constituents in Salem County, which is who helps us win the election. I mean, we won by an enormous amount of votes in Salem County. They're going to remember that the former administration, I don't even think they mentioned, I mean, I don't recall them ever talking about it. And again, I'm going to keep reiterating, you had the Senate president, you had the appropriations chairman on the Assembly side. They didn't advocate to get that money to Salem County. Listen, at least I asked, and I'm still fighting. I'm not willing to give up. Right. You know, the governor's sitting on a $6.8 billion slush fund. I'm still going to push this agenda, because not even 5 days after I told him my greatest disappointment was you let the people of Salem County down multiple times. Not even within 5 days, there was a cowboy at the rodeo, got kicked in the head, and the radio system malfunctioned.
Wow.
So they had to run in the stands and get a cell phone. You know, those few seconds could end up being the difference of life or death. So I think that people realize that I don't care what your political party is. I don't care if you're registered to vote, you're registered, not registered. I am here to be your voice. And I have been fighting every step of the way, helping them with different programs. I mean, we're dealing with 2 food deserts in Salem County. You've got Penns Grove and Salem City, where the grocery stores are shut down. And, you know, being on the state house floor, once I realized we're not getting the $30 million for the 911, then you turn around and you see a bill come through that was proposed to raise car insurance premiums. I'm like, so let's get this straight. You've just crushed 2 of my counties over and over again. These people are struggling. You say it's only $300 a year. This is the difference of them feeding their families or not. They don't have access to public transportation like the rest of the state. It's a very rural area. And for them to get on a bus to go to a grocery store that now is a half an hour at minimum away, this could take them 4 hours. Oh, by the way, when they go to check out, you took their plastic bags away. So now they got to pay for the bags. If they need 6, 8, 12 bags to get home, you're talking the difference of somebody buying a box of macaroni and cheese to feed their family. I don't judge anyone. I don't count their dollars. A dollar to me may not be the difference for somebody else. And, you know, the Democrats say they're the party for helping the less fortunate. Not true. I watched it over and over and over again. The bills that they have proposed are in no way, shape, or form, a large part of them, helping people that are less fortunate, helping the state. They took all of this money. You know, the Senate president, I think he got $20 million for his district with no specifications. 20 million. Wow. I needed 30 million to make a difference of life versus death. So disregard us. And that's okay.
This is amazing. This is exactly why I wanted to do this show, because you are highlighting, you know, we as citizens, we only can keep up with so much. Hey, most of us would rather just go back to our jobs, our family, and not even caring what happens in Trenton, but we have to care. But you're talking about basically a party that claims one thing and does another. You're talking about inability for you to do your job, which is to reflect exactly the needs of your constituents, because others don't know the needs of your county. This is how it was intended to be. You should be able to go to Trenton and say, hey, my county has a need. Let's find a way to fix it. And for the Democrats who claim they're for the small guy, they can no longer claim that. And they're not running a customized government to the people. They're running a government that suits them. So it's disturbing to hear, but Beth, very encouraging that you're that person and that you get it. And I would say to Chris, you know, you have a new district that you're walking into. It's not super different, but it's a little different. Similar to what I asked Beth, what do you want those people to know about you as they consider keeping you in your job?
You want to go first, Beth?
Well, no, she just kind of said
promise
is made and promise is kept, right? And that's really.
I can keep going, Christian. I have so much.
She does. We got to do another show, but Chris, tell us what you want them to know about you.
Listen, it's the same thing I said to everybody, and I said it to all the people that I was able to speak with when I got elected. I'm going to be a very present, available, and approachable legislator. I'm going to legislate my district. I'm not going to legislate the TV. I'm not going to legislate social media. I hit 1,700 doors in 2.5 months. That was a lot of work, and that's what this is. This is not glamorous. This is work. So I am a hard-working SOB, and that's just how I'm cut. So I'm going to bring that to every town who gives me the honor of sending me to Trenton.
Yeah, it is not glamorous. It's hard work. It's in addition to the things you're already doing to support your family, both of you. And it's not meant to line your pockets. New concept there, right?
No. And for way too many people, because I'm gonna take that now, Elizabeth. I'm gonna blame you.
Okay.
There's too many people in Trenton, in government all over, at every level, even in town government in this damn state.
There is one thing
that get involved with government to make money.
Yep.
And I'm done with it. So
yep, it's a shame.
That's all I'm going to say.
Beth, what did you have to offer?
There's one thing I want to point out, because I hope a lot of people are watching this show because it is informative. Just looking at the budget, right? So not only did we not get the $30 million for the 911, the governor gave $1 million to Somerset and Hunterdon counties, $1 million each. These are two of the wealthier counties in the entire state. Then he put $10 million aside for the rest of the state, but it's based off of population. So again, Salem County is going to suffer
once again.
And it's a public safety issue for the entire state. You know, there's a nuclear power plant in Salem County that it houses I think they provide over 5,000 jobs. It might be more when they're in shutdown mode. It's important that people have the right to feel safe, that they can count on 911. Again, when 9/11 happened, Obama had came out and said that all the systems should be upgraded. I don't know why it didn't happen at that time, but I'm going to reiterate that Steve Sweeney I think he was the Senate president since 2002.
Correct.
Why did he not make this happen? He was in 20 years to upgrade it. Nothing was done. And then when you look at the amount of money that's in that slush fund, you're talking $6.8 billion that he does not need approval from the legislators to hand that money out. So if anybody's watching, please call the governor and tell him that he needs to give the money to Salem County. And I'm not even asking for something that they haven't already paid. They paid the money in. They paid like almost $450,000 a year in taxes to that fund that has been diverted.
Right.
So the money was already there.
Right.
Give it back.
Give it back. Yeah, there's a lot of give it back messages going there. It's interesting. There's a saying that if you want to know where someone's heart is, you watch where their money goes. I think budgets are very revealing of the true intention behind parties and legislators, and this budget is definitely doing that, and the lack of action on things that are needed. I could talk to you guys for another half an hour. We are going to have you back because both of you are inspiring, and I know that you represent and speak the way that we would if we were in your position. So I want to thank you both. I want to thank you both for running. And I want to thank you for running again, right? Everybody's running again. We're not letting you leave. And we will definitely bring you back in front of the audience. Anyone in their districts, reach out to them. I take it firsthand. I'm telling you, very, very responsive legislators who understand the needs of their people. So guys, thank you. Beth, Christian, you guys are the best. We appreciate you.
Thank you, hon.
Thank you.
All right, guys. And to my audience,